Hi viewers, today we are going to go through the rules of the Singapore LioNE Game. Okay, before we start, please empty the contents of the box. In the box, you should have 4 boards. The 4 boards, when pieced together, should look something like this, with a Singapore flag. Okay, these are the tracks in which we are going to place the mahjong chips later. Okay, so first of all, you have to look at the box here with the cards. Okay, in this box, it looks like this, the cover, okay. In this box, you have cards that are red, blue, yellow, and green. So first of all, I take them out and place them on the board. After that is done, okay, I empty the contents of the box. Okay, so I should have pieces that are of different color. This will be the pieces that the teams will have. Okay, so before we start, to begin, I have to select chips from the black bag, okay, in this case yellow, in random, and place them on the depressions in order of picking. Okay, so like this. Okay, as you can see here, the chips nicely laid out. The cards are also placed in the appropriate sections in the box. Basically, follow the color. Okay, after which, we are supposed to form groups of more than 2 people and elect a game master to oversee the game. So at this point, game master could be your teacher or could be anyone among you who will be responsible for basically facilitating the game. Now, you have to choose your respective colored characters and place them at the Sir Stamford Raffles checkpoint and let the adventure start. Now, if you correctly answer the question on the card that you picked, in this instance, before you start, you had a red one. So when you chip at the Sir Stamford Raffles, which we have randomly put earlier. So before we start, you have to actually answer the correct question in the green one. So you pick up the card, look at the question, and you perform the task given on the card. Now, before we actually go into the category of questions in the cards, we will first explain what will happen if you answer the question correctly, or should you answer it wrongly. Now, if you answer the question correctly, you get to throw the die. The number on the die, in this case 3, will reflect the number that I can actually move. So in this case, I get to remove 3 slots. 1, 2, 3. Now, you wait on that chip and pass the turn to the next team. On your next turn, you will pick a card that corresponds to your current chip's color. In this case, if let's say my opponent has already finished his turn, I will get to pick the green card again, because I'm currently on the green chip. Now, the game features chips of 4 colors: blue, green, yellow, and red. And each color represents a category, and the cards are selected based on which chip your character is currently standing on. Now, there is an exception. If you land on a yellow chip, it is actually considered a bonus chip. Getting the right answer will teleport you directly to the next checkpoint on the board. However, getting it wrong will teleport you to the previous checkpoint on the board. So as you can see, the checkpoints here are the airplane, the airport, the HDB flats, the house, the bird park with this bird with a dumbbell, and the Ferris wheel, which is the Singapore Flyer. Now, the yellow chip can only be used once. After a team has used it, please remove it from the board and pick another chip from the bag to replace it, and it can't be yellow. Okay, so in this case I got a blue one. Now, for the cards, there are many kinds of questions. There is the take your pick section. Basically, you'll be asked the question and you are supposed to select the correct answer from the options given. If you select the correct answer, which the facilitator, the game master, will actually refer from the game rules, you get to continue. If not, you will have to wait at the place. Now, other category of question will include architect. For example, in this case, name the statue in Singapore situated along the Singapore Road. Sir Stamford Raffles. And you have to create that thing that is written there. So in this case, if you go into the box, you will find some plasticines which we use to sculpt the item for your teammate to guess. So in this case, it is actually a pair game where one team member will perform the task or ask the question when the other person performs it. Should the team member guess it correctly, you have won the card. Now, as for art attack, teams will be given construction paper in which they are supposed to draw out the item that is written on the card. And should the team member, in this case, guess it correctly, they win the question. Now, the last type of question that teams will encounter is the Broadway category. Basically, teams, when they encounter this question, they have to act out the item on the card. And in this case, it is Christmas. So should the other member answer it correctly, they get a move. Now, the purpose of any game, of course, is to win. So how do the team win? The team win when they can move past all the different checkpoints to the finish line. And please note that teams have to stop at the checkpoints. They are called checkpoints for a reason. Should I roll a 6? At this point, I can only move 2 steps and not 6 steps. Now, at the checkpoints, should you answer the questions wrongly, what will happen is that you will go to the sacrifice place and you have to stay there for 1 turn while you wait for the next team to actually play their turn. So in this case, if you are at this checkpoint, you go to this signifies Pulau. And if you are at here, which is Woodland checkpoint, you get to go on the causeway and you stay there for 1 turn. And if you are at the Jurong Bird Park checkpoint, and if you can't answer the question, you go to West Coast Beach and you get to relax there for 1 turn. Similarly, if you are at the Singapore Flyer and you answer the question wrongly, you have to go to Universal Studios at Sentosa to play for 1 turn. Now, after you have reached Singapore Flyer and you've answered the question correctly, where do you go next? You proceed to this checkpoint here, the finish line. Wait, you are not done yet. You have to answer the question correctly at each point on this checkpoint. In this case, at the finish line, there are actually 4 questions for you to answer correctly. And in any case, if you answer the questions wrongly, you have to stop and wait for your turn again. Should you answer the question correctly, you can answer the next question on the next turn. So basically, you need at least 4 turns to finish the finish line checkpoint. Many times, when the children play the game, they will realize that sometimes it is always down to the last point where they have to battle it out at the finish line. And that adds excitement to the game. And they should always go in a clockwise manner from blue, green, red to yellow, so that they finish on the most difficult question. In this case, the yellow cards. Now, doesn't it sound fun? Let's play!